So I was online the other night and I was ordering a couple of new sketchbooks. Hanamura A5, 100% cotton. One of my absolute favorites. And I got to the checkout and it said $47.28 for two little books. Well, I just sat there for a second and I thought about how much I've actually spent on making art over the years. And it's a lot. I don't really talk about it that much. The cost of having a creative practice, creative habit, what it actually takes, and also what it gives you back. So I'm going to just take stock. I've got 5 colored pencil sets at least, a drawer full of ink bottles, at least 100 markers, maybe more, 8 or 9 different watercolor sets, a couple of dozen brushes. And I've tried so many brands of pens over the years, and I settle on one and I buy a crate of them and I change my mind a month later. Art books, art instruction books, art history books, books by artists, books about artists, iPads, computers, cameras, software, internet service, so I can watch other people use all of the above. My friend Tom showed me this new ultralight folding camp stool a while back. It's a beautiful thing. I had to have one. And I dropped like $100 on it for a trip to Mexico. And then I discovered that it was banned from every museum I want to visit. So it sat in my backpack the whole trip, and now it sits in a closet right next to the metallic pens and the graphite sticks and the pastels that, honestly, I do truly plan to use one day, maybe. And then there's time, which is harder to add up because time is probably the biggest number of all. A few hours a week, sometimes a few hours a day for 25 years, filling pages, putting them on a shelf, time spent polishing my skills and experimenting and doing things over and over, time studying what other people make, feeling jealous and awed and sometimes very, very small. So what does all that add up to? But those aren't even the only costs, because there's also costs that don't show up on my credit card statement. There's a cost of feeling incompetent, of thinking that I'll never really learn to draw properly, scrabbling for a new idea and coming up completely dry, the uncertainty that I'll ever have another idea, or that the idea is going to be any good, or that I'm going to be able to execute it, that my skills are going to atrophy, or it's never going to develop further, or that people won't like what I make, or that it won't be worth anybody's time. The cost to my ego of comparing myself with other people, which I do constantly, even now, after all this time. And the cost to my confidence of wrestling with that voice, the monkey voice that I say that I should have figured this out by now, that I'm wasting my time, that it's self-indulgent, that real artists don't really struggle like this. And then there's also all the raw material that you can't order from Amazon. Childhood memories, fears of getting older, conflict, darkness, things that have been safely buried. Because making art means digging into yourself, and sometimes, actually, pretty often, what comes up isn't really comfortable. I don't sell my art, but it isn't free. Okay, that's only half the ledger. Because there's another side, the profits, the benefits, what I get out of all the spending of money and time and stomach lining. I get to play every day. I get to sit at my table and open a sketchbook and uncork my bottles of ink and open my box of colored pencils and draw faces and animals and places and snacks. And I get to try things, and I get to fail without it being a disaster, and ask what's going to happen if I do this. And I learn from all different kinds of people, and I experiment with ideas that probably won't work, and occasionally, unexpectedly, do work. Those are the everyday pleasures. And honestly, they're not nothing. They're a lot. And then there are the deeper ones. And these are harder to describe, but I want to try. I love solving a creative problem that seems impossible. I love when a tool finally brings to life something that's been stuck in my head for weeks. And I love that feeling of looking at something on the page and thinking, I cannot believe I made that. Not because it's technically impressive, cool, wow, just because it comes entirely from me and how that makes me feel about me. And I love sharing something that I've made and having a complete stranger respond to it, having someone that I've never met tell me that it moved them or it changed something in their life. That feeling, I don't know how you put a price on that. When I made my animated film, The Artist Who Couldn't Draw, there was this feeling that I have of having brought two actual beings to life. And these characters had personalities and worlds and goals and histories and struggles. And all of it came entirely from my imagination. And every day when I went back to work with them, well, it was fulfilling in a way that I honestly can't really describe even now. It was just, I was their father. I brought them to life, and we interacted as we were working together on this film. And I've also, through journaling, created my own kind of a sort of time machine. I look at my old sketchbooks and they take me back to moments in my life that I thought were just gone. And they've given me fresh insight into those moments and made them come alive, divulge their meaning, their significance, connect to other things I've thought of. And my art also helped me to heal. I mean, that, like, very literally, it helped me through really hard times, like my first wife's accident, and then her death, and then my cancer, and then the pandemic. And my sketchbooks carried me through confusion and grief in a way that nothing else really could have. And each of these pages showed me the beauty that was still in my life when I just really couldn't see it anymore. So how do I put a price on that? I don't know. I don't think I can. So yeah, I've spent a lot on this practice of drawing. Money and time and probably more self-doubt than I want to admit. And some of what it cost me, I didn't see coming. The memories that it brought up, the grief that it asked me to process. But I also have a shelf of sketchbooks behind me that have 25 years of my life in them. And I have a practice, a habit that is genuinely mine. Nobody gave it to me, and nobody can take that away. I don't know what you've spent on making art or what it's cost you in other ways, but if you're still doing it, and I suspect you are, or you wouldn't be here, I think you already know that it's worth it. I'll see you next time.